sipping that tea, because some things are going to be said. Have you bought your NFT? Looking into it? Developing some? Trying to? Good night, Annie. Yeah, man. That's in Florida. How is everybody this evening? It was raining a lot earlier and certainly yesterday in St. Anne, more down by the coast. There was a lot of rain, and Port Maria, and you can see the videos. So I hope everybody is dry and fine and doing well. So this evening, I believe in being early, and I want to thank all of you for tuning into this live this evening. Can you all hear me, or do I need to turn up the microphone a little bit? Let's do this, shall we? Yes. Can you hear me a little bit better? Is everybody, you go ahead waiting patiently while you sip the tea, yes? Florida here too, okay. I want to discuss a little bit about some governance issues in Jamaica. And this live this evening has to deal with something that I saw today, which was very disturbing, which had my name associated with it. And I said to all of you early, well, certainly last year, that normally I would keep quiet about things and just say, well, boy, make it pass. That Lisa no longer exists. Because over the years, and I've represented my constituency, now going into my 4th term, and just for a peaceful life, I say, you know, let things stay. I don't want to make a fuss about it. But sometimes you have to come forward and tell and be transparent and certainly tell the truth, especially when there may be an agenda to give wrong information or not the entire picture. So let's go back to May of last year, May 2021. Now, if most of you remember, leading up to May, there was a significant rise in attacks on women in Jamaica. And Jamaica has the highest rate of femicide in the world, the 2nd highest rate of femicide in the world. That's people murdering women. And there were a lot of rapes. You remember Candice Johnson, just a number of things that were happening that were making women in particular feel afraid. So I go back to May 2021, when a number of students, the women, the female students, came to me from the Monique College. Now, for those of you who know Monique, when you come off the highway or you come down Mount Ross and you come into the town of Monique where the 4-way crossing is, you can go straight to Walkerswood, right? Or you can make the left to go to Claremont. If you make the left to go to Claremont, Monique College, there's a turn with a lot of heavy foliage, there's no street lights, and there's a lot of bush. There's actually a tire shop almost opposite to it. So those of you who are here, you know what I'm talking about. If you look on that side, you see some steps coming all the way from the college down to the main road. It is those steps that the students use at all hours of the night, especially our women and our men, to come down those steps. And many of sometimes it's very, very dark. There's no lighting, there's a lot of bush. And it was also a hideout point for criminals. So last May, there was an alleged abduction and persons of a student, and persons got very jumpy. I spoke to the principal, Mr. Isaacs, who has been very supportive, and I spoke to a number of the persons there. As a matter of fact, let me just tell you who I spoke to, because this is important. So I went and I met with Jacqueline Thames, the Vice Principal of Administration and Student Services, Mr. Leroy Harvey, the Vice Principal of Academics. I met with Howard McCullough, a lecturer. I met with Andrew Mullings, the procurement officer. I met with Ainsworth Lawrence, the plant and facilities manager, and I met with Nicoy Bent, the guild president. If you go back on my Instagram, you can see the post, and we talk about what we're doing. Now, in that meeting, we needed to establish a proper transport facility for students, for staff, and for other residents, even across, because the Monique scheme is across there, so that they wouldn't have to walk all the way down to the crossing. When we looked at it, we would have to, because of the corner, we'd have to excavate into the wall, into the existing infrastructure, and to take that out and build a massive retaining wall to be able to put the street lights, which I wrote the Minister of Local Government, and he gave his approval for 4 street lights. And all of this information I will put in my stories after. He gave the approval for the street lights. We started to bush the area. And then the NWA came, the National Works Agency, to look at the facility, to look at the space. The difference is, though, the NWA cannot build buildings. They're in charge of roads and works. So we called in the parish council, and I wanted to listen very, very carefully. I called the parish council and I said, look, please, we need to build a proper transport facility where we have a lay-by that the taxis can pull into, that the students can stand comfortably, that is well lit, and that it is a situation that is covered. So when I see something going around, and let me get to that after. I said I will take, the college did not have the money to do it, because by the time the parish council did the technical estimates after they visited the site, it was going to cost millions of dollars, because you have to excavate the area, and those of you who understand the situation, to build a lay-by, which is long enough for the taxis to come around the corner, to pull in and to wait, is not a cheap event. I said I would take the money, my allocation from my CDF. No, the CDF MPs don't do technical analysis. MPs don't give out funds. MPs don't receive funds. There's an allocation of $20 million that every member of parliament gets. And it is the CDF office at Jamaica House with a competent technical staff that guides you how to write proper infrastructural projects to ensure that when it gets to the parliament, which is a CDF committee, has to ratify all of the programs, that it is well on target and on track. So you can't come with like a dibby-dibby project without the right narrative, who it's going to benefit, the right proposals in it, how many residents will benefit, why you're doing it, etc. And also, you cannot do a project without the agencies and the technical agencies approving the estimates. So Lisa, Hanna don't do estimates for building expenditure, road, nothing. It is the Department of Roads and Works and the St. Anne Municipal Corporation who is one of the agencies that the CDF has an MOU with to implement and manage projects. Okay. So now, they came, they visited, they met with the staff of Monique, established what needed to happen, how big the wall, the retaining wall needs to be, how long the lay-by needs to be, etc., etc. That entire project to do a proper transportation stand to protect the safety and livelihood of students and staff and the residents of my constituency came to 3.9 million. It's not a bus shed with 2 pieces of zinc and 2 plyboard we're talking about. No, we're doing a proper retaining wall, we're doing a lay-by and a proper coverage that when students stand up there, there are 4 street lights and that people can drive by and it is well lit and it does not hide criminals. And it can't drag in a girl or in a boy and say they're going to rape them. Let us just get very specific with this. The CDF, to their credit, and I want to big up Ms. Kadisha Campbell at this point, and I want to say a very special thank you to Mrs. Pauline Scott Blair and the CDF parish officer, Mr. Lawson. Why? Because they jump hoops to make sure that members of parliament get their projects right before they take it and sit before the parliamentary committee of the parliament. So I just can't hand them a project and expect them to do it. It goes through many, many different versions, many iterations, many different corrections. And that parish council had to do that estimate several different times to make sure it conformed within the government protocols and guidelines of the project, so that when that allocation came out of my CDF funds, that it was a right and proper thing to do. So imagine my shock today when I see a headline that says, Jaws come to a halt, 2.6 million for a bus shed. And imagine my shock as well because of the negligence of the chairman of the CDF committee, who did not take the time to look through the entire document and proposal to identify that if there is a lay-by that has to be built, the budget covers that, there is a retaining wall, a massive retaining wall, and all of the items of expenditure are in that proposal. Now, I know that when persons say a headline, they jump to conclusions. And I also know that many times persons love to blame politicians, that all they do is take people's taxpayers' money and don't have an idea how they want to spend it. That 2.6 million is a first phase. And if, as the constituency MP, when the Monique College, which is a premier institution, in an area that has been synonymous with learning, teaching, good people, say I'm going to use your taxpayers' dollars to ensure the safety and security of the residents, the students, and to give our taxi drivers an opportunity, and public transportation and other cars, the ability to drive safely, I think that is a development project because it lasts forever. I'm not taking the money to give to only welfare, because I'm sure if a $2 million project came up to just do welfare and poverty alleviation without the requisite things, it may have been stamped. But for some reason, it appears that it is easy to blame the agencies. And I really want to thank the government-led parish council, who is chaired by a JLP councillor, Mr. Sidney Stewart, who has ensured that every check and balance went into making this project approved and up to the right procurement guidelines of the government of Jamaica. So Lisa Hanna can't get up and decide, say, boy, she just want to write a project for 2.6 million. No, I don't have the technical expertise in construction. I also don't have the technical expertise or the permission under the government guidelines to do that. All I can do is recommend, make the necessary proposals under that scheme, and say, look, please call in the relevant agencies to tell us how much it is going to cost. Not only was that project approved, because it's only the first phase, and the project is going to get done, and I commit to the constituency that that project is going to get done, and you will have, when you bust that corner for go to Claremont and head up roadside, or to even turn to go to the college, you will have good lighting, right? Because Mr. Mackenzie has given me the approval for the 4 street lights to go in that transportation stand. But also, the other project was approved for the taxi drivers further down by the crossing to use an old PWD building for $5 million. And that project is going to be a split project between the CDF and the monies that I have with JBI, because a taxi driver then was being charged by the police because they had nowhere to park. So there are 2 facilities, transport facilities, that is being built shortly, and they were approved. So I want to say to persons, don't run with a headline, because that story, if you read it, you would have gone all the way to the bottom and you would have seen where the head of CDF answered the chairman, Member of Parliament, Juliet Holness, and said to Mrs. Holness, Chair, I cannot override the technical competence of the St. Anne Municipal Corporation. And if you look through the document, you will see that that budget is going to build a retaining wall and other things that are imperative to ensure that when we excavate the side of the mountain, because basically that is what it is. So it's not a $2.6 million for a bus shed with 2 pieces of ply and 2 pieces of zinc. No, I don't treat my constituents that way. That's not what's going to be built. You're going to have a facility that students can respect and have dignity. And so when rain falls or when it is dark, there is no fear or contradiction for them to be standing up there. So I wanted to do that. And $2.6 million to build a lay-by, a retaining wall, a proper shelter is $16,000 US. $16,000 US is what it works out to. Now we live in Jamaica, yes. Now most of you would have been following the things that I've been saying to know that cement gone up. Everything gone up, except your salary. Right? So let us understand that is what is happening. And the project has been approved. It hasn't started. The St. Ann Municipal Corporation will be managing the project, not me. Right? They're the implementing agency. They have to now go out and find the people to do the work, the contractor to do the work, and they have to pay accordingly. So when I put up this budget, and I'm not putting up the St. Ann Parish Council budget, I'm going to make sure that they're respected that way. But if they had looked through the document, they would have seen this, right? And that is what I'll put up, which is from the thing. So they would have seen, for example, provide material and labor to cut 12-inch millimeter diameter steel bars to fabricate and erect wall bars, and steel caging for steel matting and columns for retaining wall. It need 980 of those, $313,000. Supply material and labor to cut 9mm diameter steel bars, fabricate and erect stirrups for retaining wall. You need 264 of that, $84,000. To prepare and mix 1, 3, 6 concrete, pour and settle to form foundation, footing for retaining wall. And you need, that is $304,000. To supply materials and labor to prepare and mix the 1 to 2 mortar and lay 200mm blocks and fill pockets as directed for retaining wall, $117,000. And it's so the thing go down, right? So everybody can look and see, and there's an agency fee because the parish council charges an agency fee, which is 5%, and there is a contingency fee of 5%. So that is $119,324 and another $119. So by the time you add up all of that, it comes to that. Now, all of you, when I put up this, if you're in construction or whatever, if you feel this budget is not prepared appropriately by the St. Ann Municipal Corporation, then you say that. But don't call the Member of Parliament's name or the constituency, because she doesn't have responsibility for preparing this budget. And I certainly don't interfere in the Department of Roads and Works. And even when this budget is prepared, the Superintendent of Roads and Works, Mr. Ricketts, of the St. Ann Municipal Corporation, has to approve it. Not Lisa Hanna, not anybody in my office, not no councillor. No, they have to approve it, not me. So that is where we are, right? And if the safety and happiness and peace of mind of the people I was elected to serve is not the most important thing for development, then I don't know what is, right? And I think when we are expressing our views, we have to remember the rules and we have to give all of the information. We shouldn't be alarmist. If we're going to call somebody's name, especially in the media, let us have the facts correct. Let us make sure that when we do it, it can stand up to scrutiny. Because if the chairman had just taken the time to look at the issues, at the attending things, at the details of the proposal and the budget, as pointed out by Ms. Campbell from the CDF, she would have seen what that budget was for. That it wasn't for a bus shed, but it was for a proper shelter, lay-by and retaining wall. And it was even costing more. This is the first phase. And I'm happy and I'm proud to be able to do this for the students of Monique and that college, because it has done so much for Jamaica. It has given Jamaica so many sterling performers in academia as teachers, so many people who have gone across the world to represent St. Anne. And it is our beacon in Southeast St. Anne for higher learning. And so I want to congratulate Mr. Isaacs and the chair and the board and the teachers for doing this and for making me be a part of this, because this is what true development was about. And this is what I believe the Constituency Development Fund was to do, to ensure that there are proper activities to make Jamaicans feel better about the quality of their life. So yes, there are 2 transportation facilities that are going to be built in Monique. And so I hope that that sheds a little bit more light on the matter. And I hope journalists who decided to just run with something without actually looking at the project document also understand that they have a duty as well to ensure that for the residents and for posterity that the truth is carried. Okay, so that is that. Thanks for tuning in. I will be sharing this on my page, so you can always go back and look at it. I love you all. Thank you so much, and be safe whatever you do. Blessings.